Hey everyone, it's one of those hot, hazy days now towards the third week of June 2026. I stopped on this section of road, which is temporarily down to one lane, usually two lanes, because of severe erosion. It's just very, very rocky. And there's even trees growing in the road, so it's probably been messed up like that for years. But I stopped here because there's a culvert down here. It is absolutely massive. It's big enough you could drive a vehicle through. Very rocky terrain. Coming down here right now because sometimes when the water is stagnant like this, but it's coming out quickly, you could have a beaver dam inside of it. That's what I'm coming to check out right now. Could be nothing, but I always check these when it looks like water's having trouble going through them. And water's pretty deep. Okay, let me get down on it. Yep, the metal is very hot. Ouch. Let me sit down and lay on my back so I have clothing touching it. Ouch, ouch, ouch. That is burning hot. Is there a beaver dam in there? I gotta pause and look for myself. This thing is burning, burning hot. I'm just gonna go down there. You guys already know, but I don't know. It's hot, so I'm not wearing long sleeves or anything, so I can't just lay down on that. Okay, being careful because these rocks are very loose. Let's see how high the water has got to put this whole tree across. That's not what I'm worried about. Nothing. That's what we're here for. Just make sure nothing's there. This thing is so rotten. If we did get a good storm, it would probably just break it. Just had to make sure. Because I have already visited a couple areas today where beavers clog it and cause huge floods. Now, I would personally say it's highly unlikely and severely rare when a culvert this big would actually get blocked to the extent it would take out the road. Like you see all this elevation here, I think it would build enough pressure to push out the beaver dam, because if they built a dam that big where it became a concern, I think we would have caught it way, way in advance. That's why we come down there like that, to make sure these roads don't wash out. Because I've visited multiple today that did push out in the spring. See, it's one of those hot, hazy days. Sometimes it's a sign of trouble when you see it coming out quickly but entering slowly. It sometimes can indicate a beaver dam. I guess not today. I guess someone was even having a fire right here. Out on the logging roads, they don't haul most of their material in. They find it nearby. This is only about a mile down the road. This is definitely the quarry all those big rocks around that culvert are from. Pretty cool. Hey everyone. Here is another great example of why we unclog culvert pipes. The beavers caused this washout right here. That culvert pipe down there, they blocked it. The road is not meant to be a dam nor hold that water pressure. Pushed it out in multiple spots. It looks like it got pushed out there first. They dammed it, and then it caused it to fail again, and they must have been relocated or shot by the logging company because they're not here anymore. but it's gonna take a bit to get this fixed. That's a lot of water. That actually looks like a fun water crossing. I'm gonna take that. All right, everyone. This doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look that deep, but I always evaluate these first. Coming on down into the riverbed that the beavers created after they caused this major washout. Still able to get around it. I'm glad they didn't block this road off, because this is fun. Oh, those beavers, they caused all this. This is why it's so important to unclog the culvert pipes. This is all the beavers' fault. This was originally a 2-lane wide road that they're just not using at the time. That's why they're not repairing it. They don't really care at the moment, but they will care when it reopens. That's why we try to maintain these even when they're not logging on them all. So what happened is the beavers clogged this culvert pipe. It filled up this whole area. This road is not meant to be a dam, and the pressure pushed all this out. The beavers then rebuilt what you see here, causing it to then fail again, pushing out. By that point, the beavers were already relocated or shot by the logging company. That's why they did not try rebuilding back once again, because they would have rebuilt, but there's no dam down in that deep crevice over there. So now the road's destroyed and the beavers aren't here anyways. A road's not meant to be a dam, but in the beavers' eyes, the road is a dam and the culvert is a leak. It's kind of fun going through the water crossing that's here though. Hey everyone, yet again, another example of what happens when you don't maintain a culvert pipe. The opening of this culvert is nearly 4 feet below the water surface right there. Look at that tree. We're way out there. Really flooded and neglected. It looks like they had quite the beaver dam at some point. I don't think the beaver's here anymore. Look at the culvert pipe where the water's supposed to be coming out. Way down there, and there's a whole bunch of fish around it. So it washed out the road. At least the road's rocky. It's not too terrible for when they need to eventually fix this. That's the main road, maintained really good. These side roads deteriorate really quickly when the culverts aren't maintained. But if there would have been preventative maintenance, removing the dam every week or so, this wouldn't have happened. The beavers have done it again. It's flooded in here. The culvert pipe is clogged. The road is starting to slip. And they did this. They clogged the culvert pipe down there. It started flowing down here through the ditch. They wanted their pond deeper. They blocked the ditch. And look what it did to the road. If someone doesn't see that, that's going to really mess up pretty much any vehicle that hits that at a good speed. And that kind of smoothed down from people slowly going over the better of the two sides. That's what happens when the culverts aren't kept clean. Hey everyone, I know like 99% of you understand, but the 1% of people who don't understand, this is why you have to unclog a culvert pipe. The beavers clogged this culvert, causing the water to reach the top of the road, which isn't meant to be a dam, pushed out the entire road, causing this environmental impact of all that sediment down there. And then, immediately when the road washed out, the beavers started building a dam in the washout to get their pond back. Look at that. Yep. And I can see it, this sandy soil, when they get that up, it's just going to keep washing out until it's all beaver dam. You just come across something like this out in the middle of the woods. This is 100% the beaver's fault that this road is now impassable. But I gotta say, the beavers had enough courtesy to cut this tree down and at least block the road off in this direction so we wouldn't drive into it. But the other direction doesn't look like it has any sort of barricade. Pretty interesting. That's just by coincidence that they just happen to get that across the road. They're cutting down trees desperately to get more material to get their dam back up. But they have created their own failure. Remember, the road is not meant to be a dam, but in a beaver's eyes, the road is a dam and the culvert is a leak. All right, everyone, this is new. I'm getting out of the truck to evaluate this before I go through it. There was a bridge here last year, but they've removed it. From in the truck, it looks really, really steep. But stepping out here on foot, it doesn't look that steep. It looked concerningly steep from in the truck, but it's actually not that bad. This water crossing. Good rock. I guess it counts as a forward water crossing. But I don't think they're sending log trucks through this. Like the log trucks, the landing gear can rise up like a normal semi and then it moves up out of the way. But still, that looks like something they could potentially still get stuck on. Or maybe this is just so they didn't have to replace the bridge while they're not logging. Pretty cool regardless. Alright, just so we don't have problems, 4-wheel drive, active. It's not as steep as it looked from in here. It looked really, really steep at first, but I guess we're good. Like there's other fords in the logging wilderness, but they usually have concrete at the bottom. This is just really, really bumpy, big rocks. Boom, 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 boom. Those are so loose. Yeah, I don't think I'd have a good time without the 4-wheel drive there. That's a steep, big one right there. All right, we made it. Yeah, we have to go back through that water crossing again because look what's going on up here. There's a tree across the road that was cut down by beavers. So, wow, the beavers are actually cutting this tree down to warn us of this horrible washout. I guess the beavers felt bad that they caused the road to wash out, so they created their own road barrier. That's interesting. Yeah, this is all because of the beavers. They clogged the pipe, the water went up, caused the whole road to wash out, and then they clogged it up again. This is all beaver related. Wouldn't be surprised if the beavers had to do with the bridge being damaged down there too. See, their pond is still below capacity, but they're trying to get it up. It doesn't appear to be a culvert under the main road, but there's a large beaver dam here, and it looks like the logging company tried to make a scarecrow. Or scare beaver. Didn't seem to work. Didn't work too well. And this road is taken out. Obviously they're not using it, but this road is also washed out. Hey everyone, the logging company just had to rebuild this road recently after it was severely eroded because of these beavers. I gotta hand it to them. That's one of the biggest beaver lodges I have ever seen. It has massive openings on it. And to this left side, that is the beaver's pantry that I always talk about. That's the food storage, which is supposed to be slightly underwater so you could get a picture of where the water level was supposed to be. That is absolutely awesome. Love seeing that. But they had to be relocated because they clogged up this culvert, and you see how big their dam was. They didn't even remove the entire beaver dam foundation. They had all the way back in there flooding and across the road. And this is how they unclogged it. They must have used this stick right here, this long log. You can see where the excavator grabbed onto it. This is how they got the debris out of the pipe, by shoving that back and forth. All right, everyone, look at this section of the road. It is getting soft and muddy. Yep, there's a culvert here, but it's even on both sides of the road because it's not clogged. The beavers have something much bigger clogged up, and I want to show you the extent of how big this really is. Look at all this water right here. It's fun to drive through it. I like driving through the water. I open up the door. Well, my running boards are slightly underwater, but we can handle it, no problem. All right, everyone. Right here is the problem. The beavers have clogged this culvert pipe, and it's not exactly causing a problem here, but it's backing up across multiple lower sections of the road. Absolutely massive amount of water that the beavers have backed up here. You see, they cause problems like this if you don't maintain the culverts. You see that has been pulled out with an excavator. That's been pulled out with an excavator. It must have been so badly blocked that they couldn't find the grate. Look, they completely destroyed that grate. And at least they were smart. They knew if they left that out of there because it's broken, they might clog it internally. So thankfully they went back to the logging camp and they got a whole new grate. You see there's a whirlpool there with some organic material forming a foamy bubble. But that pipe is raging at capacity. It's not blocked at all. But it's gonna take days to unflood that road because you have all of this huge body of water. It wraps around there to that flooded area. And then the whole other side of the road back there has to unflood, go through that pipe that's not clogged, make its way over here. So this area might have a good 100 acres of water that has to drain down multiple feet. And it all has to fit out of this culvert. Oh, listen to that, boom, boom, boom. I love hearing stuff like that. This culvert's at capacity. It's not undersized. It's the fact that they didn't realize the beavers were clogging it. This must have taken the beavers weeks or months to gain this amount of water. Give it a couple of days, it'll be off the road. But this will probably take a week of discharging to get that back down to normal levels. Here going boom, 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 boom. It keeps trying to siphon, but it keeps breaking the vacuum. That's what that noise you're hearing is. It's not only right here, there's also a bunch of side roads. We don't really care about the side roads, but they're underwater, and I'm gonna show them to you also, caused by the same flood. All right, everyone, we're coming back down here to this flood. So this will all completely go away, but this water is probably 1.5 feet deep right here. It's gonna take a couple days for all this to drain back. It all has to fit through that one pipe down there. So normally there's a culvert here with a stream that feeds that and then eventually makes its way back to that culvert. But now it's all just one massive, massive pond flooding the main road in multiple spots. But it's not just the main road, let me show you. We also got this side road here, which it only goes to a gravel pit, not a big deal. I think it's still solid. Let's see. Let me zoom in for you a little bit. Pull forward. And I'm gonna stop. How deep is this? About the same. The running boards are a little bit under. We just went in here to make a little bit of wake because it's fun. Now I'm backing up out of here, and I can see it on the backup cam. The bumper is slightly pushing it, if that puts into perspective how deep it is. That's okay, it'll clean the mud off my undercarriage. That's fine. Yeah, big flood, but it's under control. The beavers are already gone, taken care of by the logging company. We're just waiting for all this water to go away, and it hasn't even been raining. It's actually been quite dry out, but the beavers still managed to do all this. It was probably a little bit worse yesterday when they first unclogged it. It looks like up here was flooded, but this has already dropped back. Yeah, I can tell this was definitely flooded yesterday. Looks like this was clean across the road yesterday. All right, another area on the same road. The excavator just had to come in here and remove this beaver dam that was completely blocking this drainage ditch. Because it was blocking this drainage ditch, it couldn't use the drainage ditch, and it caused all this erosion going down the side of the road. These beavers have also been taken out. We hope. It looks like it could have been partially rebuilt. Just to put it in perspective, this pond here does not have a culvert leading under the road. It relies on leaving through this drainage ditch. It was a busy day for the excavator. Here's another one that they visited just yesterday on the same road. What a mess these beavers made. They found the culvert. Beavers have already clogged it up since yesterday. I saw a big splash when I was driving by. I see multiple beaver lodges in here. I'll show you down here. Oh, here, there's a duck taking off now. This was flooded early yesterday before the excavator got to this. You see how muddy it still is as the road continues to dry out, but they'll have it flooded again. They already have that culvert pipe partially blocked up again, those beavers. Look at this mess here. I think we have a second pipe in here. If we did, they already got it blocked up. There's their lodge right in the middle, and there's another one. I don't know if they're using it anymore. But beavers are being a nightmare on this road this year. Yep, there is another pipe here, and it's already completely blocked even though the excavator got it yesterday. This is how fast these beavers can cause problems. And it doesn't look like they put a grate on it, so I'm thinking they clogged it internally because I don't see any beaver work, but yet the pipe's not flowing at all. Yeah, I'd say it has to be internally because this pipe also has this. This is the tree they were using with the excavator to jam back and forth in the pipe, so they must have got it open. Now this area is extremely over capacity, and I see a absolutely massive beaver lodge out there. Now right here is a tricky one. I love when the beavers do this, and this is actually the biggest example of this I have ever seen in my life. We got a landslide happening right here, but I don't think we can blame the beavers. That has nothing to do with the dam. But this is incredible. Can you see how big this beaver dam is from the culvert pipe down there? Wow, look, there is even a grate on that culvert pipe. They didn't clog it. They could have clogged that little culvert, but instead the beavers built a 20-foot dam in a U shape. It's like 100 times more work. But they were nice enough to not clog the pipe. So it won't flood the road in a big storm. It would go over that like a waterfall, which could have caused this, but I'm thinking the road just slipped because it's so steep. Now the water is still far away from getting to the road. No frost heave concern. That's really, really cool. That is absolutely massive. We look on the other side. It's a much smaller pipe than you would think, but the water is coming out so slow. I love to see that. They do have it marked though. I don't know if they're just gonna fix this or they're gonna remove that beautiful dam. That's a masterpiece. The beavers have a masterpiece dam right here. That's the biggest one I've ever seen. I wish you could see it a little better, but at least these trees aren't full. They're only gonna get fuller as time goes on. It's still early in the year. Trees aren't in full bloom yet. We've got more excavator tracks. The excavator was also here yesterday, and the beaver is already back. You see, they also had a long log that they grabbed on with the machine to force through the pipe. But in less than 24 hours, that beaver you just saw get in the water has already completely clogged the pipe back up, meaning this water is once again on the rise up to the road. He'll have this road flooded again. You see it's still very noticeably wet and soft. What kind of pipe are we dealing with? Wow, it's a 4-foot metal pipe. And when the excavator used that battering ram yesterday, it must have forced all that out. That is a big pipe, Mr. Beaver. Where are you? They didn't take care of the beaver at a couple of these locations. I don't know where he went. He's probably gonna be gone until I leave. This road's about to get reopened, but as you can see, it's getting kind of narrow, overgrown. Not many people have been able to use it. Someone even probably used it as a fireplace. Yep, that's exactly what that is. The beavers caused this. The whole road pushed out, and that's why the culverts are sitting down here. Shouldn't be the hardest thing to rebuild. Those can probably be reused by the looks of it. Was it just one pipe, or were they next to each other? I can't really tell. This was a giant beaver pond though, against a road that's not meant to be a dam. All right, everyone, right here we have a water crossing. There was a bridge here last year, but they didn't replace it for some reason. It's super steep. I went through this about a half an hour ago with the four-wheel drive. I'm just curious if I can get through it without the four-wheel drive. This is much steeper than it might look on the camera. And it's very, very loose down here. Just wondering if we'll make it up. I think if anything, we might spin on some of these boulders. It's pretty packed going up. Let's see. We are spinning a little. We got traction. It's okay. A little bit of spinning. That honestly probably would have been worse if my traction control was working. Traction control wheel sensor is actually, at the moment, broken after hitting a big bump the other day. I kind of like that not working.